Hi, it's Lauren and welcome to my craft room. It's been a busy week, so I don't have a normal intro, so we're just going to jump right into the card. I've already die cut all of the pieces that I am going to be distressing today. I'm using my largest Wonky stitched rectangle from Whimsy stamps, and I've cut it twice. I kept one whole and the other one I cut with both my cloud and grass edger dies. I've also cut out two trees from the new Slimline Meadow die set and this fun bright looking sun from the Up in the Clouds set. So let's put all those dies away, and now I'm going to bring out my first color for distressing. I am using Tumbled glass and I am going to distress this whole entire rectangle. I'm not really doing too much on the top and bottom because they're going to be covered. I'm just focusing on covering most of this background piece. It's not a perfect blend because it's the sky and I like having kind of a cloudy feel to my skies. For my trees, I'm bringing out ground espresso and I'm going to distress both of these. I'm not going too heavy because this brown can be dark, but I wanted this more brown color compared to the frayed burlap that I normally use. I thought that was a little too yellow for what I was going for, and since I have a yellow duck, I didn't want it to be overly yellow in the trees. For my sun, I am starting with Fossilized amber in the middle, and I am going to bring in spice marmalade on the edge of my sunburst here. I really like this color combination for the sun. I think they blend really well together and it gives that bright color feeling and a bright sun look. Once I'm happy with this, I'm going to clean up my station. I just use my water spritzer to spray on my glass mat and use a towel to pick up excess color to keep my station clean. I don't want to risk getting orange on green or brown on blue, so I am careful about cleaning up after myself because I am a very messy crafter. For my grass, I'm using Mowed Lawn, my tried and true color for distressing. I love this color for grass. And for the tops of my trees, which I use the Cloud Edger die, I'm using Rustic Wilderness. I love this contrast. It's a little bit darker. It's not too dark like pine needle, but it still has that kind of park feel, but it's darker than my grass. So there is a contrast between my leaves and my grass in my scenes. Now that my distressing is all done, I'm going to pick up my station and bring out my splatter box. First, I'm splattering my sky background. I'm using my sparkle silk, which I will use on all of my pieces. And then I'm using beach ball to add a little bit of blue splatter. For my grass and trees, I am using Fresh Sage. I love this green color and I like that it works with both shades of green. For my sun, I'm bringing out that sparkle again, as well as Orange Ray. Now this is a little bright, a little brighter than I wanted, I guess, but I really like how it turned out in the end. As I splattered it, there was that immediate like, oh no, what did I do? But it turned out really nice. And for my trees, I am using Dark Rose Splatter to add in some brown splatter. I've stamped this really cute duck image from the new Lucky Ducky stamp set from Whimsy, and I stamped it in some alcohol-friendly ink, and I'm using my Spectrum Noir Illustrator markers to color him in. I am using some different shades of cream and yellow to color in the duck. I'm going to show you how I colored in just his wing here, and then I will color in the rest of the duck in this yellow. And now for my oranges, it's definitely not as bright as I would have liked. I need to expand my marker collection here. So the orange is kind of a browner orange than I would like, but it still, I think, complements the yellow of the duck. So it does look a little weird in this lighting. If you look at the beginning and end, you can see it's a little more orange than it looks here as I'm coloring. But I'm working with what I have, and it does turn out cute regardless of it being a little more brown than I wanted. And I've colored in his beak and his feet, and then I'm using a really light blue just to outline his eyes a bit to give the white of his eyes a little bit of color. And then I'm going to be using green to color in the grass around his head and wings. I'm starting with the darker green and just coloring in the image. I'm not being really perfect with it, just adding a little bit of color because I am going to cut this out and I'm not going to leave a lot of grass showing. And then I'm going to blend it out with a lighter green just to give a little bit of contrast and blending for my image. Now that I'm done, I'm going to fussy cut him out, and surprisingly, I decided to cut along the line of the image. Normally, I leave a white border, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to just cut on along the line this time. Now that I'm all done with my cutting, it's time to start putting the card together. I'm going to play with my layout so I can figure out where I want to put my sliding mechanism on the grass. Now I did put this a little higher than I probably should have looking back now as I've finished making the card. I don't have any room to put any support behind that top of the grass with foam tape, so just keep that in mind if you replicate this card or are using those dies yourself. I will definitely make sure I do it differently for the next video so you can see what I mean about having support all around your slider. So I put some foam tape behind my tree leaves here, but before I glue that down, I'm placing my tree trunks. I laid my grass in my tree so I can figure out where to glue them, and I'm using some wet glue to adhere them directly to my sky background. Now that I have that in place, I'm going to work with the sun. I realize that the sun probably should be behind the trees as well. So luckily it's not completely dry and I'm able to slide that tree in behind my tree branches. I'm going to cut off any excess of the sun and then peel off the release tape from my tree leaves and adhere that down. For the grass, I'm placing it onto the bottom of the card background and then gluing that die cut piece of grass onto my sky background. That way, no matter how I move the duck, the green grass will always be behind it and you won't see any blue or any other color shining through where the grass should be. I am placing one of my circles from the kinetic die set behind the grass, and I'm using some foam squares. And originally for these dimensionals, I popped two on top of each other, but you see I'm going to change that later. And then I added some foam tape for the grass, and I'm making sure that that slider circle is in between my two pieces. And then I'm adhering the other circle to complete my sliding mechanism. You want to make sure when you're putting foam tape around that slot that you're not going to have any issues with your circles going back and forth. So make sure when you're adhering foam tape that you have your circles cut and that your slider mechanism will move freely. I didn't like how long the grass was, so I just trimmed those off, and then I decided that I didn't like that it was so thick. I don't know how to explain it. It felt wobbly and not very stable, especially since I didn't have any foam tape on the top of the slider behind the grass. So I took it off and I put two dimensionals instead of one, and I did one layer, and I felt that it was so much more stable and easier to maneuver. So I'm really happy that I made that decision. I'm using some strong sticky tape behind my background, and I'm gluing this to my A2 card. I love top folding cards. I think they stand the best on display, which of course everyone who receives my cards puts it on display, right? So I love this type of card. For my sentiment, I used a quick strip die cut. I absolutely love this die set for sentiments, and I'm stamping Quacky birthday. I originally wanted it to go under the duck, but I was a little worried about the sliding mechanism and there isn't a ton of space, and what if it got stuck? I had all these different reasons why not to put it on the grass, so I put it in the trees instead. And I thought it turned out cute, and it gives the card receiver plenty of space to play with the sliding duck. Now I can't stop there. I always like to put on some type of embellishment, but I have a certain someone in mind for this card, and I thought liquid pearls would be better than shiny gemstones for this person, so I am just using some liquid pearls from my stash to add in a little bit of bling throughout the card. Here is a final look at my Quacky birthday set. As you can see, the orange isn't too bad, right? I hope you enjoyed this slider card. If you did, hit like, and if you're new, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a great day.